This is Brian Cook and Kendra Cox with DiscoverWoodward.com, and we're here at the Woodward Convention Center with Rachael Van Horn, and we're going to discuss the real Discover Woodward.
All right, I'm here for you.
I love it because that's exactly what it is. Because you are Woodward Tourism. You're the face of Woodward Tourism. Do you agree with that?
Not really, because I actually try to make my people the face of Woodward Tourism. Darcy Miller is the general manager of the conference center, and then typically I have my second in tourism, my second in command in tourism, and that's Molly West, or Molly. Now she recently married Molly Ogden. And I try to have them be the face. And I'm really an administrative arm, and I'm also kind of a person who is the deal maker. Yes. I'm kind of the deal maker.
Yes.
I know what it is. That's funny. All right, so you're not a Woodward native, but you've been in this area for quite some time.
I have. I've been in here. I've been living in this area for going on 14 years, and that is the longest I've ever lived anywhere in my entire life.
Wow. Okay, so 14 years is the longest time you've been in one place.
I've ever
I think
been.
that's fantastic. Okay, so just a brief background. You've got quite a history, so you want to give us a quick background of you, and then tell us how we won you?
There is not, and thank you for saying that. There's not. I won this place. But I was born in England, and to a father who was an Air Force fighter pilot, and we traveled around. And my dad retired in the state of Oklahoma, down in the Edmond area.
Okay.
And so I came up here one time doing a story for the Enid News and Eagle when I was a journalist.
Okay.
And I just loved the area. I loved the flora and the fauna, and I loved the topography here, and just the people. There was something about it that felt like home.
We hear that so often. We hear so many times that people will say, "It's the people that keep me here. It's the people that keep me here." What do you think it is? Like, do you know what it is? What makes us special?
You know,
I'm a Woodward girl, so
sometimes I step out of my house. You know, this place I often say is a place that wants to kick you out because it's a tough place to live. But as I said in one of my stories that I wrote after the fires, it's a beautifully tough place to live. And I think it's the combination of people that we can depend on each other, even if we have a time where we don't agree or we bash heads, because we're a small community,
right.
And so sometimes we have disagreement. But at the end of the day, you know, you may think somebody is the village idiot, but they're our village idiot.
That's right. I love it. So I'm the office village idiot sometimes. Okay, I want to touch on something. You said that this is a beautifully hard place to live, and sometimes it feels like it tries to kick us out.
Sometimes, and
I think I know what you mean,
weather.
but I want you to talk about that a little bit because I think that's perfect.
Yeah. So the weather and the flora and the fauna and everything about this place is real hardy. So you think about the red cedar. Mm-hmm. That red cedar tree is something that we think of, you know, as kind of a bad thing because it takes water and everything. But it's the spirit of that tree that I think about a lot because it just survived. It dug in roots and it flourished and it's just stuck it out, and that's how the people are here. And so when you have people like that you can identify with here in this place, there's a connection. And we're different. We are different. I've actually done studies on the difference between the people here and in the Panhandle and who settled here versus even who settled in the land run farther east of here. Just totally different people.
Interesting. That's very cool. This is not scientific. This is Kendra's views, and it could be totally wrong. So some scientist is going to be like, get that girl to shut up. One of the things that I think is so unique about, maybe it's not unique, but one of the things I love the way that our land works. So you just mentioned the fires. The fires will completely destroy so many hundreds and hundreds and thousands of acres, and we feel kind of distraught with that. And then the next day we'll have like this horrible wind. And I always think about the seeds that are blowing back to replenish those lands that were just fertilized with that amazing fire. And I always think how cool that is, that I feel like our land kind of does some replenishing on its own. Did I do okay with the science thing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I couldn't have made it up any better.
No, I really believe that. Do you think it's right?
I know that.
He's a science teacher.
Oh, I didn't know that you were a science teacher.
It was 20 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how it does it. But I've developed a theory that's kind of scientific, I think, that after these huge fires, have you ever noticed how all of a sudden then we get all these huge rains? And I mean, they're kind of like 5 and 6 days of rain.
Right.
And I've decided that there must be something in the ash that goes up and seeds the clouds.
They used to seed the clouds. I don't know how that works, but
Yeah. And I just,
I don't know. These are just all my fun ideas, but I love it. Okay, so I am a Woodward native. Brian is a Northwest Oklahoma native. I guess can I say native? I've been here since
I've never
90.
heard it, so.
I love it. I love it up here. And so we did. I said we won you. You said you won us. So what brought you to the area? You said that you had just kind of been in the area and you saw it, and then that brought you here. And what has made you stay?
That's a real weird story because I was overseas when I bought my house, and so I think you know the story. I bought my house sight unseen. I was looking online, and I knew I needed to leave the war zone. The war zone had kind of gotten to me at that point. I'd been in the war zone for about 3 years by then, and so I picked this house, and I had somebody from Woodward, Liz Fogelsong, go drive all the way out there and look that property over. She took about 30 pictures of it, and I bought it. And I'd never seen
I remember
it.
this because I was working for the other company.
Oh, yeah?
And so I remember because that was the first time I'd really dealt with the sight unseen contract, and I thought, man, this is crazy. But it worked, didn't it?
It did.
And you're
It did.
still there, aren't you?
I am still there. I'm still there. I've been kind of looking in this region, but then all of this stuff happened, and I kind of wanted to see
It's
where
a
that
safe
was going
place
to
to
go.
be.
Yeah.
All right, so tell us exactly what the tourism department at Woodward does. This is an arm of the city government.
It is.
So tell us a little bit about how do things work?
But that's a huge question. But basically, several years ago, we passed what is known as the hotel motel tax. And that is what 100% supports this facility as well as my activities as a tourism director. And then the activities of my second in command for the tourism side. And so what that allows us to do is it allows us to reach out into the state and even into the nation to bring events here, we are also working on static attraction. And when I talk about static attraction, I'm talking about stuff like, for instance, when you go to Las Vegas for a conference, why do you go to Las Vegas for a conference? Because of what is there.
Right.
The things that are there to do. While you're there, you're going to do a little gambling. You're going to catch a show. You're going to go look at the, whatever gorge that is, Royal Gorge. Is that the Royal Gorges? Or was that?
No, that's in Colorado.
That's in Colorado.
Kind
Yeah.
of like Hoover Dam.
Hoover Dam. That's it.
The
Yeah.
Grand
There you go.
Canyon.
So geography, not my thing. So what I really, my goal is to build us into more of a static attraction. So it would be great if we had like a wine tasting train car that could kind of go around, or something that we had that, and we do have some of that. We have a great deal of outdoor things. We have things that do bring a lot of people here. So my job right now is to sell what we have, which is some outlying regional things like Alabaster Caverns. We've got Gage Beach, which is really something that draws a lot of people here. We have events like the Elks Rodeo, and we have
The
we have
Tornado
theater.
Twister or the Twister
The
Alley.
Twister
I
Alley
can't say
Film
it, thank you.
Festival, which brings about 300 people here.
Amazing.
So we have all kinds of, and so our job is to just keep the schedule full with events that kind of bring people in. The goal is to get visitors to Woodward. It's different than the Chamber's mission. The Chamber's mission is to do quality of life events that help quality of life of people right here in Woodward proper. But we've got Selman Bat Cave, Selman Living Laboratory, Selman Guest Ranch. So there's all these outlying things that I kind of drag into the mix. But also, static, we have hunting and we have fishing. And so it's for us to keep that stuff up front and present in the minds of possible visitors. So we're a part of the guide that goes out. There's about 300,000 Oklahoma guides that go out of state through the state. And so we associate with the state people, and we work to also promote the state to out-of-state people. So we have a very wide-ranging mission. We are also kind of the economic development arm, along with the Woodward Industrial Foundation of the city. And so I am very interested in getting money for business expansion.
Right.
So what I'm hoping, we're getting ready to think about doing a drone festival, and this is a good example.
I was hoping you would visit about that.
Yes, so we have a drone. We've been thinking, Lori Steenbergen and I have been working together on an idea for a drone festival. And what we hope to have happen as a result of that is that it's a jumping off point for maybe a manufacturing. Maybe we get to kind of woo some of the people of that industry
Right.
into this area to do manufacturing of parts or whatever. There are some drone festivals. We're looking at what would work for this area. Races and kind of a little bit of everything.
One of the things I thought was cool when I was reading some of your background information about the Drone Festival is that you are, and I don't know exactly what your words were, but that you find that people are surprised how open you are to ideas about things. So you want to touch on that just a little bit? Because
Sure.
that was an excellent example, because Lori is with...
She's with the theater, but she is kind of one of the agencies that I work with and that actually is in some ways a part of my budget.
Okay.
So I also work with the museum, the Plains Indians and Pioneers Museum, and I also work hand in hand with Main Street and then the Woodward Arts Theater. So those three agencies are I kind of have an overarching impact on. And so we work in all of those areas. But really, when you're talking about ideas, people in Woodward have lots of really creative ideas, and I think sometimes they think I'm not interested. There's some things we just can't do,
Right.
or that we can't do right now. But that doesn't mean I don't want to hear your. I mean, 2 heads is better than 1, and 500 heads is better than 1.
Right.
So I'm very open. People call me all the time. They call me all weekend. Sometimes people say, "Have you ever thought about?" And they call me at night. So I'm fine with that. I'm used to being. Yep. I'm used
Maybe
to being
you should send her an email.
I'm kind of like you because you're kind of always running and having people call you at weird times and stuff like that. So
I think that's wonderful. All right, so another one of the things that I had read, you'd mentioned, so because our focus here is to be Woodward, we want people to come here and to join us and to know how wonderful Woodward is, discover Woodward. And so you had mentioned, it said, I think the question was, what is your favorite restaurant? I think you may have listed every restaurant in town.
Yes, our restaurants, I really, the food culture is a thing, and one of the things that I'm very interested in creating is the idea towards the food culture here. So I love what we do have in the sense of, kind of nourishing sort of down home feel. And I would like to continue to do what we can in the tourism industry to get more and more creative influence into our area so that we have people with ideas like Carlitos who kind of just leans into the idea of something fresh and new, and he's not afraid to do that.
Right.
I love that excuse me, my allergies are terrible. We reopened Al's, or we reopened JP's Al's. Because our community wants that kind of dining experience, and we were missing it at that point.
So Al's, I'm going to just real quick interrupt. I hate to do that, but Al's is a fine steakhouse, right?
Yes.
So
Al's
and Carlitos is a little bit more of a home cooked kind of a meal, and I just wanted to kind of.
And Carlitos is kind of gastric pubby. What I call, have you ever been to the gastric pub?
It's funny, everybody thinks he's a Mexican restaurant. And you walk in there, it's like,
and he's not. He's got some really interesting, fresh ideas that he's putting into sandwiches, that he's putting into salads. He's got that strawberry salad. I can't remember what it's called. Poppy seed dressing that he makes himself, and all of that. So
my favorite is his Greek. And I never in a million years would have thought I'd be getting a Greek salad in Woodward. Yeah. And I love it. Absolutely love it.
So we have, and I think we find those ideas. Well, Chase's is another one.
Yes.
Chase's, with his, bend towards how to serve steak and how to serve meats and stuff like that. Totally different.
Right.
We have out, but it's still a great experience. So, I think it's very difficult to just pin down, who doesn't want to go to the Pollyanna? Right. And then just... tear into a burger and some fries, that from there that are so incredibly different than anywhere else. So, no, I'm a foodie. I'm definitely.
But you're also a runner and a mountain climber.
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
Not a bit. I see you out there. All right.
It's this area. I think that the great thing about this area is that it's so open for possibility still. This is it's almost like the Alaskan frontier out here because of the nature of living here. You really do want to have a that your community needs to, you have to be comfortable with your
Right.
community being your family,
Mhm.
because they are going to be your family. We had somebody recently come into town, and they just weren't used to that kind of people, all
In their business.
In their business. And I said, well, that may be, we definitely are that way. However, like family, you can also tell us to get lost. And we will for a little while.
Yeah.
For a little while.
Yeah.
I've always laughed about that, but whenever I was in my early 20s, I had fallen, and I was not Woodward, I was in a small community outside of Woodward, but I fell at the post office and broke my ankle, and I was laying on the ground at the post office thinking, are you kidding me? And by the time I got to Enid to have my ankle surgery, I had a teenager that had been in my youth group call from college and say, Grandma just called and said you fell and broke your ankle. And I thought, this is crazy, literally within an hour and a half. But before I got home from surgery, my house was clean, my laundry was done, I had food in my refrigerator, I had meals prepared for a week for my family. And I think that's the kind of people that we have in Woodward, and I think that that's what makes this so special and unique.
It is.
So I thought, wow, this is quite the, I hope I'm not on the front page of the news is what I thought. But
But you almost
people
made
were
it,
taking
because that's pretty exciting news.
Evidently, if we wouldn't
Yeah.
have hit state championships, I could have been. But those are the kind of people, and that's what makes us good here. Those
It
are
is.
loving people.
And people who aren't afraid to kind of step in, just maybe even a little too, what we might feel like is a little too far sometimes. But you have to have that kind of courage to be a family member, and that's
Right.
we don't always agree on things, and I'm kind of well known for having a real stated opinion about certain things. But people have learned that I'm not so scary.
Right.
But
It's
but
okay
when-
to agree to disagree.
It is. In fact, I hire people specifically who will come against me and push hard back.
Absolutely.
I need that pushback.
You do too.
I know.
I need that pushback. I need somebody who's just not going to tell me yes because I'm too scary to come into the
Right.
office. They had to get to it because I come to this with a lot of military
Sure.
background, and so unfortunately, I think I present myself in that way, and it's a little scary on the face of it. But really, I'm super wishy-washy.
Now we know. So if you say no to my idea the first time, I'll just come back again.
Yes, you should. If you give me
Awesome.
enough reasons, I'm kind of an evidence-based person. If you give me enough evidence to
Absolutely.
support something, I'm going to say yes, and then I'm going to find ways to
Right.
do that. So
All right. Is there anything you want to share extra that I have forgotten to ask you?
I don't think so.
All right.
I
If
don't
somebody
think so.
needed to reach you, how would they reach you?
They can reach me here at the conference center. The phone number is 256-9990,
Awesome.
and then they'll tell you my cell phone number.
You might have to talk to them.
No,
all
I've
right.
told them to tell me. I've told them to tell everybody my cell phone.
Awesome.
My whole life has been in the public, and so I'm so used to people calling that. I haven't had one bad call yet. I mean, I could get one someday, but
Sure.
so far nobody wants to
Good.
battle with me on the phone. So,
Let's just keep
yeah.
moving forward and upward then, right?
Yes.
Well, we appreciate your time
All
so
right.
very
Well,
much.
thank you
we
for
know that
coming.
you're busy, and we are really thankful to have you here.
Well, and I
in Woodward.
appreciate everything you do. You guys are wanting to help build Woodward, and I want to support any and all efforts to continue to get that message out there that Woodward is a place where you can call home, and we'll come and help you move in until you kick us out.
Yes.
So
All right. Thank you so much.
you're welcome.